So, new Master Duel update. Finally arriving on in 3 days. It's currently the 6th. It's 2:30 or UK time. And yeah, we're getting a Master Duel update. And this is what we're getting. And so it's not just Bode that we're getting, but also all the way up to the Brave engines, the Punk engine, and that sort of thing. So this is a bit blurry, but what we know that we're getting, these are the new card animations, but it also shows the new engines that we'll be getting here. So we've got from left to right, we've got Aquamancer of the Sanctuary, or Water Enchantress. She basically is announcing that the Brave engine is coming to Master Duel, which is actually huge. We've got Exorcister, Michaelis. Exorcister's not so like meta defining, but very good deck nonetheless. We have a SwordSoul card whose name I cannot read, and it's really irritating me. I don't really see it very often because there aren't any SwordSoul players in my local. So sorry, I can't really read that name. It's really blurry. But yeah, SwordSoul is coming over to Master Duel. I wouldn't be surprised if we're seeing more SwordSoul cards come out. They're a very token heavy deck, so we're going to see cards like Token Collector come around onto meta. But yes, SwordSoul is coming around. DPE has been announced as well here, and this means that every single deck is going to be running DPE, and if you cannot run DPE for whatever reason, then your deck is completely ass and won't be in meta at all. Thankfully, because of Verte, every single deck can run DPE, and yeah, DPE is very oppressive, and he will be staying in the metagame, and he won't be leaving anytime soon. Next card is Flunder and Snow. I don't know why they've given this a new animation, but this does mean that we get some Flunderies coming into the game. For those who don't know, be aware of Riser and be aware of M-Pen, because Flunderies is definitely a top 3 deck coming into this new Master Duel meta. Next we've got the Punk engine coming in, very much like the Exorcist deck, not too meta defining, but very good nonetheless. We got Hyperions, don't really talk about it. Trouble Sunny, so Evil Twins finally gets their boss monster. Boroko Dragon, again, not really talked about too much. Sue Ships, this is probably the worst mention of the game. Magic Keys, interesting, but not quite Exorcista or Punk. And obviously, whose name I cannot read. Again, he's non-existent. But the big cards here are Water Enchantress. Basically, we've got the Brave engine coming along. We have the SwordSoul engine coming along. We've got DPE entering the game. We've got Flunderies entering the game. We've got Punk, and Evil Twins boss monster is finally around as well. So let's go into detail about these specific cards and what we want to know. So Brave engine is a very consistent engine where you can search out basically you can search out the spell card to summon a token, which you can then get Draco back and Wandering Griffin Rider, and Draco back allows you to get a once per turn bounce, and Wandering Griffin Rider gives you basically a once per turn Omni negate. The entire engine avoids Nibiru, and it's all on special summon. There is no normal summon commitment. The only commitment you do get with the Brave engine is that the effects of any cards that you normal summon do not happen once they're on the field. So if you're playing what's a good card? Let's say you're playing Despia, for example, and you draw into a Luba. Your Luba's effect isn't going to activate on normal summon. Or if you're playing Heroes, for example, and then you normal summon Stratos, let's say, Stratos' effect is not going to go off. So be in mind. But it makes decks that mostly care about graveyard effects, such as Prank Kids, very potent coming into the next meta. In fact, Prank Kids, because of this one addition, becomes a top tier meta deck, and we will see a lot more of those. Talking about SwordSoul, SwordSoul is a token based synchro deck that basically summons a ton of omni negates onto the board. It's very much like other synchros, except it's not like synchrons, let's say, where you can negate Junk Speeder, or it's not like where you can negate Halky Fibrax and it completely stops the combo, or they go into a Auroradon. They can go into Baron de Fleur without having to go into a Auroradon or into Halky Fibrax. They can go into their level 8s without having to go into Halky Fibrax and Auroradon, etc. And they're very, very good. They also can run Verte into DPE. So again, if something goes wrong, they can basically link off into Verte to summon DPE. Now, DPE is going to be used in every single deck. This specific package will include DPE itself, 1 Anaconda Verte, 2 or 3 Fusion Destinies, depending on how many you want and what the consistency you want in your package, and 2 other hero monsters, essentially, notably Celestial and Dasher. And in terms of consistency with the amount of Fusion Destinies that you want, like ideally every deck wants to be running 3, but there are decks that sometimes will cut to like 2 just to save some space in the deck. Not necessarily the case now that we've got the Brave engine, because now decks are going to look about 45 to 50 cards up, and Prank Kids are probably going to run 60 cards. I wouldn't be surprised to see that. But essentially, it's a boss monster that pops itself and pops something else, or pops one of your own cards and pops another opponent's opponent's card, and then it activates on the effect, so that on the next standby phase it comes back onto the field. DPE itself is very sticky, and you'll want to be playing more DD Crows. If you're not running DD Crow, you will probably want Skullmeister, and if you're not running Skullmeister either, you will want to save your Called by the Grave for DPE. You've got 2 copies in Master Duel, thankfully, but yeah, it's still a massive problem. Ideally, you want to Ash Blossom the Fusion Destiny, or the Anaconda Vert Anaconda. But yes, it's once he's out, it's almost impossible to stop unless you have a way of banishing him from the graveyard. He dodges most things, because obviously if you target him, he'll just ping himself. So yeah, if you wanted to Zeus or whatever, then he'll just ping himself, and then he'll come off the board and then activate himself again. So yeah, he's a very nasty card to go into. Flanderies, Snow itself is not used in Flanderies strategy, which is a real shame, because it's a nice looking card, but at the same time it's just not good. You would rather just end on Empen and Riser and Mr. Apex Avian. Since the Morgue is still available in Master Duel, Flanderies is going to be an absolute nightmare to fight. Yeah, we've got Riser to deal with, we've got Simorg and Simorg package. They're not going to be normal summoning Apex Avian or Wind Barrier statue like they would in TCG. So yeah, Flanderies is a top 3 contender in this specific meta when the TCG came out. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Flanderies even beat out SwordSoul in terms of how good it is, just because Simorg is not banned in Master Duel. Punk is, if I'm honest with you, I have not played against Punk and Exorcisters, so I'm not going to give you a take on those, but they are very consistent, and they are its own package, and they're very, very good at doing that. In terms of the Evil Twins Trouble Sunny allows Evil Twins to finally basically have a boss monster. It's big beat stick, and it does stuff in grave. It basically allows you to pop a monster and draw. and yeah, you basically cycle between blue and red along with Trouble Sunny, and it's an absolute nightmare to deal with. They've got a lot of effects that doesn't necessarily need any evil twins on the board, and yeah, they're quite elusive in that. But they're still not meta defining, but it certainly does help evil twins a lot. And I know that there's a lot of there's a specific content creator called Crush Cards. Brian runs evil twins at a very high standard, and he wins locals very often with them. So yeah, be a lookout for evil twins. They are a nightmare, or like a very good rogue tier. I wouldn't even say they're rogue tier. They're probably like tier 3, 2.5, but they're very, very good at what they do, and I wouldn't count them out. Everything else, unfortunately, I don't have experience with. So, for instance, Punk and Exorcisters, no one plays those at my locals. Magic Key, no one plays at my locals, so I can't say anything. And the one time I did play against Sue Ships, I just whooped them with Kraken, which says a lot, because Kraken really didn't come back into meta until the branded structure deck came around, where we could use polymerization, and that made Mud Dragon of the Swamp more viable. Hence why Kraken is more viable now than it was before. But yeah, it says a lot about Sue Ships, because Sue Ships is not a very good deck, and he didn't go far. I can tell you that he didn't get far. Our locals usually runs about 16 to 24 people, I believe, something like that. There have been times where they would have 32 people in, but they're on very rare occasions, and most of our regionals and YCSs will be up in London rather than where I am. So yeah, that's the new engines that they've announced, and the new animations for those engines. Lots to look forward to. So now they're going to be releasing this new Cyberdark structure deck. Not necessarily too good, but not necessarily too bad either. I'm hoping it'll be like the TCG structure deck, Cyber Strike. In that we will be able to, it'll be at least somewhat competitively viable, and it will get more players into the game, because when we look at the Pendulum, the other structure decks in Master Duel, whether that's Pendulum, Utopia, or I don't know what the other one is. That one, it's just obsolete. They're just subpar, and the Cybernetic successor, or Cyber Strike in the TCG, was at least semi-competitive or semi-rogue, and you can still run Cyber Darks, and they're still, I wouldn't say they're viable, but they're usable. So that's good to see that there's a new structure deck coming to Master Duel. We got some new icons. If I'm honest with you, I don't like any of those, but I know that a lot of people are going to be using House Dragon Maid there. I personally won't be using any of these, because these aren't decks that I will be using. Maybe I'll put on Fallen Albaz there. Maybe. But no, I don't use any of these cards. None of these cards matter to me. But yeah, there's some new icons if you guys want to have a look at that. Some new sleeves. Obviously, the free here are all gems. The rest that you will earn. Poor Dragon Maid players are going to have to pay for their waifu on a sleeve yet again, as they usually do. Honestly, Dragon Maids is still freaking, I wouldn't say they're expensive, but you're still paying like a good like £8 for like one like Parlor Dragon Maid or whatever. And they're still fairly like, not expensive, but they're fairly, like, for an engine they shouldn't be this expensive, like, at all. Like, they're not staple cards, but they are. And Konami likes to milk nostalgia and waifus, so unfortunately for you for you Dragon Maid players, this specific sleeve will be purchased of gems. I'm not too keen on any of the other gems, and I don't think I'll be switching off my current. Sorry, I'm not too keen on the current on the other sleeves, but yeah, I don't think I'll be switching off the current sleeves that I've got. Maybe this one's quite cool, but other than that, not really too keen. Maybe Mech Knights. So we got new mates. We got King of Skull Servants. We got Gazelle, Jack O'Lantern, I think his name. I actually don't know the card of this. And then we got, I think this is Hanzo. I could be wrong about that as well. But yes, 4 new mates. They look interesting. I don't think I'm going to go with them. I still prefer Moki Moki. It's my favourite one so far. And yeah, nothing to do with water decks, which I use. So not too keen on those. But again, you guys have that information now. If you like these, they're coming up on the store in 3 days. So we got some new dual fields. We got an ice one. I think that's a city. Yeah, it looks like a hero city dual field. We've got a desert, like Egyptian pillars sort of field, and then we've got a Caribbean island or like lost island sort of thing. I actually like all of these boards. I think all of these boards look phenomenal. They're much better quality than the previous boards, and yeah, I definitely feel like if I didn't have the free-to-play board, I would probably go for one of these. I'm still waiting for like one of those Marco boards where we're just in the ocean. I would love that, and you know, you just have the animation of the ocean just playing on the board. That's what I would like. But yeah, these boards are still very cool looking. If you're a hero player, absolutely phenomenal. The top right, you got the if you're an ice barrier player, the top left one is obviously going to look phenomenal. If you're a dino player, the bottom right one is really going to suit you. If you play any of the Egyptian gods, the bottom left one is going to look amazing as well. These are all great looking boards and thematically do really well with the game. The next bundle is a 10 pack, obviously like the other ones, but it's giving infinite impermanence. Imperm is a very strong staple. If you don't have this, you should be getting this bundle. You need to get Imperm at 3. Imperm is so strong, and it's so important to be running Imperm, especially with this new meta that's coming round to Master Duel. You guys will honestly thank me for running more hand traps like Imperm. Just take it, like, you guys need to be running. I don't understand what's up with Master Duel players, but some of you guys just don't run hand traps, and you guys really need to run more hand traps. But yes, Imperm is so important. For people like me, this is just a 10 pack with like a guaranteed 10 dust. So I guess it's worth it, I guess it isn't. It depends on how you look at it. But I would rather pull for like a specific secret pack or something like that than get this and then Imperm as well, or like dust for the Imperm and then random packs. You're better off picking like packs that you want specifically. For instance, if you're looking to get Forbidden Droplet, you want to be pulling for those Dark Lord packs, those Dark Lord secret packs, because of the fact that it has Forbidden Droplet, and you're going to want to board break so bad in this next meta. Next we have, last we have solo modes. I believe that's Dark Lords. I'm not too sure. At the top left, someone has going to have to correct me. I don't know this top right one. We have UA, and then we have 6 Sams. That just left my head. And then we have Dangers, Nephis. I don't know this bottom right one, but and then this is Heroes versus Golems, Ancient Gears, which would be really cool, obviously, to do with that field center. It would actually be nice if we got that field with as a reward from that, but I don't think they will. But yeah, more solo modes means more gems, which means more spending to get those new cards. So what's my recommendation coming up into the new update in 3 days? Well, you want to get the Brave engine as soon as possible, this engine here, but you also want to get DPE. So it depends on what you're playing and how you plan to play. So for instance, if you're playing Prank Kids, you need both of these packages. So with Prank Kids, you're going to want to get, like, everyone needs to get DPE. Everyone has to get DPE, because you can go into Verte, and then from Verte you get DPE out, and you'll want to get 2 or 3 Fusion Destinies, DPE, Verte, and Celestial and Dasher. those are the cards you must get. Everyone must get that. Next, depends on where you want to go from here. If you're going to be playing Prank Kids, again, you want to go into the Adventures, or Sky Strikers, Prank Kids. Any of the top meta decks will go into the Brave Engine next, so you will take that package from there. You'll want the Draco back. You'll want the Water Enchantress at 3. You'll want the Rite of Artemisir at 3. And you also want one Wandering Griffin Rider because you can keep searching him. So yeah, you'll want to go into that, and it makes your board Nibiru proof basically. With Flunder, you want to ignore Snowball. It's actually a really bad card for Flunder, and you basically want to get their Robinas, their Stree, M-Pen, Egglen is really important. You want to get Map is really important, and Dreamy Town is very important as well, but you only want that at 1. Riser the Mega Monarch is very important. You want Mist Apex Avian, and you want Wind Barrier Statue, and you also want Dimension Shifter, which is a hand trap that basically when you activate it, all cards that go into the graveyard are banished instead. For any Flunder players playing, you want to, instead of having auto chain on, you want chain on at all times, because in the standby phase you want to activate Dimension Shifter, and that means that your opponent essentially cannot play at all because they're not even in the main phase yet. But yeah, that's what your plans are. This is going to be a very interesting Master Duel meta, considering us at the TCG have just basically left this with Branded. But yeah, your top 3 decks will be Prank Kids, Flunder, and SwordSoul now. And yeah, it's going to be a nightmare. Eldritch is still played. What else is still played? Sky Strikers is still played. In fact, Sky Striker is played more because it's more consistent with the adventure. What else is more played? Actually, now that I think about it, it's been mostly those. I haven't really seen other than my locals. I'm like one of the few people who runs like a rogue deck. Like, you'll run into decks like Cyber Dragon and Heroes and that, but they're never like meta defining, so you never think about them. Just thinking what else you'll find. Like, those are the 4 decks I'd like that come to my mind. I can't think of anything else. Anyways, whatever the reason is, if your deck doesn't need the normal summon, then it runs Brave. And if it runs Brave, it means it's anti-Nibiru. And if it's anti-Nibiru, it means that you can actually just play Master Duel fine, and you're probably like a good deck to run. In my case, I'll be playing Sharks now because Marincess needs the normal summon, and Mermail needs the normal summon. So Sharks don't need it as much. You'd lose out on Buzzsaw Shark and Lantern Shark, but you can activate extenders from your hand anyway, so it's not too bad. But yeah, this is will be the new meta for Master Duel. Well, sorry for you guys hearing me ramble on for who knows how long, but this is yeah, the end of the video, and I hope to all of you that you all managed to adapt to the new meta, because if you weren't complaining before, you will be complaining now, because you're just going to be seeing the same cards over and over again. Alright, catch you guys later. Peace.